All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Performance Racing League. New season on F125, and it's been a while. It's been a while since I've done a stream for PRL. Usually we've had these streams covered by our trusty duo of Hoop BK and Lucasade, but as they are unavailable, you're getting a blast from the past. Me, Gortsauce, and PWR Jesper will be doing the stream for Monaco today. Jesper, say hello.
Hello everyone, I've just gotten off work and I'm very hungry, so I'm gonna be eating while Score does the intro.
Exactly. As just like the good old days. So, as we all know, F125 has recently released. We have just started our 14th season of PRL, and what a way to go for the second round of the season. Monaco, chosen by your previous championship winner, Mr. Bean. He made his championship pick by picking Monaco, so unfortunately for all the drivers, they are forced to race it. But that's okay, because whether it's a very bad track or a very good track, the PRL drivers are always putting on a good show for those watching. So, I believe they are about to start the uh, launching of the session. However, while we wait for them, we're going to go through the standings because we have recently gone through round one. Brazil was our initial race in the 2025 F1 calendar. So, of course, Mr. Bean won that race, just beating out his previous teammate Joe Bidome and Ramsey. I believe Joe finished P2 on track, but was handed a 3-second time penalty for track limits, so he finished P3. Then we have Bass and Morris, the Norwegian duo that we all know very well in P4 and P5 respectively, followed by a relatively new driver, started in 2024, Mr. Martin, followed by myself, who decided to commentate this race instead of race, which I have no issues myself. Then another known face around the paddock, Mr. Justin, and Lord and Nico John rounding out the top 10 for the standings. Now, if we look at the constructor standings, McLaren leads the way by 11 points currently with Mr. Bean and Nico John, followed by Bass and Justin in P2. Haas with Ramsey and Noob at 32 points. And Mercedes-Benz, Lord, and myself, 30 points. Alpine in P5 with Joe Bidome and Villeneuve at 28 points. So, obviously, it's been one round. All of the standings are going to be relatively close. However, if we were to make a guess as to how the championship might come down into the future, I think anyone would say that Mr. Bean and Joe are going to give it everything until the final race, because these two, for the most part, seem to be the class of the field. However, of course, you cannot count out drives like Ramsey, Bass, FBI agent, who is also relatively new to the league, your 3-time Tier 1 champion Morris, and other very quick drivers like Ghost Viper and Martin and Timgra making his return. So many drivers to keep track of. But we're going to have some drivers coming onto the track soon. So those will be the watching points. And of course, we are racing at Monaco. So obviously every driver is going to be pushing to try and get that P1 on track, because while it's not as egregious in real life, P1 at Monaco is still an extreme advantage even in F1 sim racing. Because, as you all know, you have to make the pass clean. And PRL drivers are well known for hard but very clean and fair racing. So drivers will only make a move if they know they'll be able to make it stick. So drivers that can get yeah, Mr. Jesper in the back laughing. So of course, I would say drivers are definitely going to try and at least aim for the top 3 in qualifying here. So obviously drivers to look out for: Mr. Bean, FBI agent, Joe Bidome, Morris, Ramsey, Bass. Even Justin has shown incredible pace in this game compared to last year. So yeah, going to be a lot of drivers to watch out for. And I believe the first driver to start a lap is going to be Martin. So we're going to stay on board with the Williams as he starts his first flying lap at the Monaco circuit. Takes turn one very well. Didn't get anywhere near close to the wall as he flies up through the middle of Sector 1, taking this very sharp right-hander that can easily end your race if you clip it. Now we head down to the casino section of Monaco, arguably the most popular corners on the F1 calendar. Takes it a little wide. He's going to have to make some more steering input going into the tunnel section. Into the tunnel section we go. He's going to use all that battery up. Obviously, battery usage at this track is not a concern whatsoever, as the corners are mainly slow, tight winding corners. And now he heads towards the popular pool section. Looks like there was a wing on the track right next to Martin's car. Thankfully, wings do not cause punctures in our league. Oh, and Martin may get... he might have gotten held up a little bit by Lords and Rab there. Takes it a little wide, and I do believe Timgra just retired right before the pool section. Joe Bidome right behind Martin, setting a 1:10.7, very quick lap, then followed by Mr. Bean, a 1:10.4. Martin, of course, setting the 1:12.1. Kurama setting the 1:12.2. I believe that is an Aston Martin of Justin about to finish his lap, a 1:11.7. And it looks like the Ferrari of Morris just started his lap, so we'll stay on board with the three-time Tier 1 champion as he heads up through Sector 1. Used a lot of battery compared to other drivers that I've seen, so he's definitely pushing that battery usage a little bit more than we saw Martin using. Down through the casino section. Takes that a lot tighter than Martin did comparatively. Less steering input, more time gained as he heads through to... a little bit of snap of oversteer as he heads into the tunnel section. Probably going to lose him just under a tenth. Going through the tricky chicane section. Takes it very nicely. Couldn't have taken it any better as he heads through the pool section. As close to the wall as you can. Coming to the final corners, might have taken that curb a little too hard, but still a very good lap shaping up for the Norwegian as he takes the final corner and heads down arguably the only able passing point on the track, and he sets a 1:10.6. Very competitive for Morris as he splits Mr. Bean and Joe. Not too surprised with that man's pace. Rusty, his teammate, sets a 1:13.5. Ghost Viper recently set a 1:13.0. Tar Heels a 1:15.7. I expect a quicker lap from Tar Heels later down the line. Ramsey, the only German on the grid, a 1:11.9. And that, I believe, is everyone apart from GK Bass heading through the final two corners of the track. Another driver to watch out for. He showed always very impressive pace throughout each season he races in. Looking like it's going to be a 1:11, though. 1:11.2, just ahead of his teammate. Well, just ahead, 5 tenths. Pretty decent gap, but then 5 tenths back of Joe Bidome. So, little bit of a field spread starting to emerge. And Martin, finishing his second lap, splits the Aston Martins, 1 tenth back of Bass and 2.5 tenths ahead of Justin. So, little bit of a gap beginning to form within the field. The top three are showing good pace, of course. Drivers to look out for, FBI Agent, who we totally didn't just catch going right through the Sector 2 chicane. We'll ignore that. But Noob, obviously starting his lap, will stay on board with the Haas, and then we will switch to the Kick Sauber of FBI Agent at the end of his lap. Noob, a little slidey going into Sector 2 here. Might be running a little bit of an oversteery setup to try and gain some pace. The McLaren kind of in a tough spot. There isn't really a best way to go there. Rustled the chicane. Damn right, Hoop. As Noob enters the tunnel section, we'll see a comparison to how he takes this chicane compared to drivers like Martin and Morris. looks pretty good. The inside curb definitely ruffled his entry a little bit, so he probably lost a little bit of time. A little tap on the outside wall. Noob's getting a little scruffy here, but he's still managing the lap. No contact with the wall. Final 2 corners to go. Let's hope Noob can just set a nice clean banker lap for him to improve on. Yes, he does. Coming to the line, going to be an 11... Yes, a 1:11.6 for the Haas driver. Actually, goes quicker than his teammate. Very impressive. So, FBI agent now finishing his lap of driver to watch. If you've seen his time trials, he is a extremely quick driver around this track. Arguably a driver that may even be able to contest for pole as he comes to the line. A 1:10.52, a tenth back of Mr. Bean, and just 1.2 tenths ahead of Morris. Now, I believe Nico John is on a push lap in the other McLaren. We're going to stay on board with him as he finishes the latter half of his lap. Oh, a little bit of a bite into the inside corner gave him a bad entrance or exit out of that chicane. Final 2 corners he goes, not using that much battery. And Joe Bidome, what a lap, a 1:09.6 as Nico John finishes his lap with a 1:12.6. But what a lap from Joe Bidome. Almost a second clear of P2 Mr. Bean. So that's going to be a lap to beat. Obviously, I'm sure Mr. Bean and FBI agent are going to give it a run for his money. And as I say that, Mr. Bean in the McLaren, a 1:09.4. These two are showing the field how it is to be done. My goodness, a second clear for Mr. Bean to P3, and Joe Bidome 9 tenths away from FBI agent, who is arguably the next quickest driver on the grid by pure race pace. Oh man, it never stops at this track. Every time I look, somebody's on a lap. Who should I pay attention here? We'll stay on board with Rusty as he goes through Sector 1, just passing his teammate who finished a lap. Or actually, Morris is just exiting the pit lane, so he's on his out lap. Rusty heading into the casino section, up only 0.06, so not a huge improvement for Rusty. He's definitely going to want to improve more throughout the lap as he heads towards the 2 tricky right-handers right before the tunnel section. Here he goes. A nice burning of ERS. You can gain a lot of time here. Through the chicane. Oh, Rusty definitely took that a little bit wide. He's going to lose probably a couple of tenths by that if he took it perfectly last time. Entering Sector 3. Up 4 tenths, though, so Rusty clearly having a much better Sector 2 compared to his previous lap. Can he gain any more and get into the 112s? Through the final corner he goes, and nice and smooth, no wobbles whatsoever. Burn the rest of the battery. Down the straight. Just enters the 112s with a 1:12.9. So a good improvement for Rusty, and he'll be able to go one more time. As we jump on board with Martin in the Williams. Of course, has already done 2 laps. I assume one of the laps was on a used set of tires. And Kurama was apparently disqualified for blocking the pit lane. I assume he was sitting at the pit lane exit, allowing a car to get by, and the game being silly disqualified him for actually doing the right thing. So, unfortunate for the very new driver to PRL. Oh, Martin, a little bit of a slide, tapping the outside wall, entering the pool section. Oh, another huge step of oversteer. I'm surprised Martin just didn't lose the car there, but he is still going. Is he going to improve even with those 2 snaps of oversteer? He's not burning any battery, so I believe he's given up on this lap. Yeah, 1:13.1. It was looking good at the start, as I'm now on board with the other Ferrari driver of Morris JRM, who is just behind his teammate, who hopefully gets out of the way, although he may be giving him a tow here. Oh, Rusty actually takes that corner badly and may have compromised Morris a little bit. Not enough, though. Jumps up 4 tenths on his previous time to a 1:10.2, but either way, nowhere close to Mr. Bean or Joe Bidome. I believe we have a little bit of a breather. Never mind, Joe just started his lap, so let's stay on board with the previous Tier 2 PRL champion as he heads through Sector 1. No snap of oversteer whatsoever from that man's car. As I say that, a little bit of snap over the bump. He's down 800ths, but obviously a lot of lap to improve still. Can he get close to his previous teammate, Mr. Bean, in that McLaren? Entering the tunnel section. Through he goes. Burn as much battery as you can. Coming towards the chicane. Can he take it even more perfect than he probably did? Yes, he can. It looks good. Heading to the Sector 2 end timing sheet. What is it looking like for Joe Bidome? Oh, 6/10 off. So that is not going to be an improvement for the British driver. So he will have to enter the pit lane and take another go. Ramsey, who previously set a 1:10.7 that we didn't realize, is on another flying lap, and it looked like he was 700ths up. Can he improve more through the tricky chicane in Sector 2? Oh, and he invalidates it going through Sector 2. He's going to be beating himself up after that. It was looking like a good lap. As we switch to the Norwegian of GK Bass, just entering Sector 2, up 500ths. Not a huge improvement, but obviously a lot of lap to go. Takes the casino corner very tight. Maybe not as tight as he would have wanted to, but better than nothing as he enters the tunnel section now. Burn as much battery as he can. Staying on board with him. Ooh, takes it and invalidates at the exact same corner that Ramsey did as well. That corner catches you out very, very easily. So we jump on board with one of the Haas drivers, New Plays, trying to get a bit closer to his teammate Ramsey. He was up a tenth and a bit just through Sector 1 alone. Can he gain more time? Takes Sector 2 chicane pretty good. I think that's FBI agent right behind him, cutting the chicane again. A purple Sector 1 according to the timing sheets for Noob. 7/10 up, that would put him in P6. Can he improve any more? Little wobbly through the penultimate corner, more wobbly through the final corner. Here comes Noob. Can he stay in the 110s? Yes, he can. A 110.9, just ahead of Lords and Rab in the Mercedes, right behind his teammate Ramsey.
He also nearly smacks a car on the pit exit there, but just missed the other car.
And I believe, an FBI agent snapping the wall, entering Sector 2. I think he might have gotten a little bit of dirty air from the Haas of New Plays there, so he's probably going to go for another lap and back out of this one. Ramsey looks like he's...
none, so.
Yeah, and Ramsey 1.5 up on his time just through Sector 1 alone. Looking very strong. That would put him almost past FBI agent just with that sector alone. Can he gain more time through the tunnel section? Here he comes. Little bit too much on the curb that you actually hear the car bottom out as he enters the tunnel section. That might lose him a good amount of time here. Takes the chicane, does not invalidate this time around. The McLaren ahead of him will have to find a good place to get out of his way. Hopefully Ramsey does not get enough of dirty air. Oh, that was close. I'm not sure. Yeah, Ramsey backs out. That looked like a pretty bad impeding by Nico John. Obviously a very difficult part of the track to get out of the way, but Ramsey is not going to be happy about that one. Nico John just starting his lap now. We'll stay actually on board with my Mercedes teammate Lords and Rab, starting most likely his final flying lap. Down a tenth and a half, though. That is not what he wants. He's probably going to reset here and go for another go.
We have a late addition. We have Villeneuve on
Villeneuve, yeah.
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve making the race. Obviously, I believe Villeneuve races in another league right before this one, so it's difficult for him to get in. Ooh, little bit of a lockup for Villeneuve. Obviously, he's going to only be able to set one lap, so he's just got to go for it. And I believe FBI agent about to finish his lap. 7/10 up for FBI agent. Can he get close? Oh, he gets close to Joe and Mr. Bean, but not enough. A 109.8. We go right back to Villeneuve, setting his only flying lap of qualifying. Can he get past any of the drivers who haven't set a time? Little bit of a wobble from Villeneuve. He's going to get some dirty air from the McLaren here. It won't affect him too much through these slow corners, however. Bit deep. Push the DRS in the battery. A 1:15.1, so he does beat out Tar Heels. Not bad for joining super late. But now so many drivers to keep track of. I believe that is a Red Bull coming into the pit. That is Ghost Viper. Justin looks like he's about to finish his lap. GK Bass as well. GK Bass, this is looking like a good lap for him. A 1:10.6 pushes him up to P5. And Justin crossing the line puts him at a 1:10.9. So the McLaren's a 5 and an 8th. Definitely they'll take that. FBI agent retires in the pit lane. He has nothing more to give. Mr. Bean now heading towards Sector 3. Can he improve even more? Up 2/10. Your previous champion putting everything on it, and he invalidates in one of the chicanes. Took too much of it. Car snapped, and that will not be an improvement, Mr. Bean. It was looking like a fantastic lap. But can Joe now steal it with Mr. Bean's mistake? Through the final corner, bit of a snap of oversteer. It's looking good. A 193. Joe Bidome steals it at the end. Mr. Bean would have had pole if he didn't make that mistake through Sector 3. And that right there is how champions are made. You don't make any mistakes through qualifying whatsoever. And Joe Bidome in the Alpine is giving it to his previous teammate. Beats him out by 1/10 and 3/4. And I believe that is everyone finished qualifying. God, I didn't have a chance to breathe. But here is your final qualifying order. The two Brits at the top, Joe Bidome and Mr. Bean. A 109.3 for Joe and a 109.4 for Mr. Bean. FBI agent around 4/10 back. Morris 7/10 back. And then a little bit of the best of the rest action. I don't even want to say best of the rest because all of these drivers from P4 and P5 all the way down to P10, P11 are extremely quick. But as you can see, their times relatively similar. P5 to P9 only separated by 3/10. Then going through the rest of the field, you have Ghost Viper, Nico John, Rusty, Villeneuve, Tar Heels, Karuma, and Timgra finishing out the top 17. Man, that was a qualifying.
It sure was. Monaco, of course. It's the track where you have the biggest skill gap, because it's just one of those where you either have it, or you train for it, or you don't.
Exactly.
And I am on the don't.
Yeah, exactly. And clearly you can see the drivers that trained for it. You can see the drivers that just have that raw pace and skill. And yeah. However, that was only qualifying. Now, in real life, obviously qualifying would, for the most part, set how the grid is formed. However, as the FIA have tried to make Monaco quote-unquote more exciting, they implemented a minimum 2 stops for the race now. Obviously, before this, it was a 1 stop, just like every other race. But now it is a 2 stop, and they have implemented that into the game. So, while I don't think it will affect a lot, a bad safety car can put your leader all the way down to the bottom of the grid if it's a badly timed pit stop. So, of course, anything can happen. Obviously, even the best drivers clip the wall and end their race. So anything can happen here. Now, Do we make predictions, Jesper, just like the old days? Do we
We
make
can.
do we make the commentator's prediction? Will we have some commentators' curses? Who
Yes, I think
knows?
we should. And I'm
All
gonna put
right.
them on the Norwegian.
You're going to put it on the Norwegians, eh?
Yes, I do think. Obviously, with it being a two-stop, um, and I don't think there will be any team game shenanigans because everyone here they are out for themselves, and I
Yep.
know that the Norwegians are sneaky, sneaky, and I do think they can maybe make something happen.
Yep. Of course, you cannot ever count out the Norwegians of Morris and GK Bass. They have been top of the field for the past 2 years now. They've shown everyone up. They've showed how quick they are. I am going to go in a different direction. I believe that the top two will finish the race, and I believe they will finish on the podium. However, I think that FBI agent, some way or form, is going to manage to win this race.
Okay.
I'm not sure how, because these two drivers are extremely quick, and you can argue they are quicker than him. But FBI agent has a way to just not make mistakes in races. Obviously, Brazil was a very rare occurrence from him, but FBI is just so clean, never gets any track limits. So my money is on a FBI Joe Mr. Bean podium. Now, I am going to predict that there is only going to be 2 safety cars. I know we run on standard safety cars, but I think there will only be 2 safety cars. VSEs, who knows? And yeah, I think that's going to be my. I think that'll be my predictions. I can't think of anything else. Obviously, we'll run through the tires very quickly. P1 all the way to P15 starting on the medium compound. Timgra in P16 starting on the softs, and Kurorama starting on the hards. And Morris looks like he DQ'd entering his pit box.
Again, he did that last week as well.
Yep, looks like Noob has done it as well. We're gonna hide
It's
all
in the
this.
same.
We're gonna hide this garbage all on the screen, and we're gonna jump up to the pole sitter, Joe Bidome. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and they are out. As they head down turn 1, looks like a good start from Joe, Mr. Bean, and FBI. Oh, and a huge crash into turn 1. I have no idea what happened. Let me jump onto the interval and the lap data of the position changes. So the top 5 stay within their starting positions. Ghost Viper has a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. He jumps up 5 positions, and looks like Lord and Rab and Ramsey, the biggest losers here. Peace loses 7 positions and 11 positions separately. I'm not sure what happened. I believe a couple of them got clipped, and it just started a chain reaction of cars dropping back. And it looks like Timgra actually making a move going into the chicane. Tar Heels decides to back out, so Timgra up 2 spots, I believe, by actually making overtakes.
And just to let you know, on that lap 1, I was on board with Ramsey, so I saw exactly what happened. And it was I think it was an Aston Martin that just got in a little bit too deep, and we had a Ramsey that ran out of road, and when you run out of road, you run into a wall here at Monaco. So Ramsey is without an end plate, and is about 6 seconds behind the next car, which is Tar Heels.
Yeah, and as we know, both the Aston Martins of GK Bass and Justin will most likely be in a call with Ramsey and Morris, so probably maybe some words being exchanged, we don't know, but Ramsey looks like he is continuing on even without the end plate, looking like he doesn't want to compromise the start of his race anymore, so he's just going to stick with the tires that he is on and try and minimize the damage done. We go to the top of the field. Joe Biden, a 1.3 second lead ahead of Mr. Bean, 1.2 seconds ahead of FBI Agent, which is also followed by Morris, who is 1.2 seconds back, and then GK Bass a little bit further back at 2 seconds. Now, Ghost Viper actually comes in very early here, maybe looking to get rid of that 10-second time penalty and go onto the hard tire early, get out of traffic, and maybe try and get some clean air to make up time. That puts the other Aston Martin of Justin into P6, Martin into P7, and Rusty Oil Can jumping up 5 positions. A good start for the Ferrari driver as he is being chased through Sector 1 by Noob Plays. The closest gap in the field. Oh, and Villeneuve makes a mistake entering Sector 1. He's going to lose a position to Kurorama, who's also jumped up 6 positions. So lots of position gains so far. Nico John up 2, Villeneuve up 2, Timgra up 3 now, starting on the softs. Maybe helped him a little bit. He definitely made that move on Tar Heels. It was a little messy, but no contact, so no harm, no foul. And of course, Lors and Rab switching to the hard tire after the incident into turn 1. Tar Heels in P15, one of the only drivers from the only driver from P5 down who has stayed in his position he started in. But Joe Biden keeping around a second lead to Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean pulling a little bit. FBI Agent has dropped a lot here, 3 seconds back. Morris closing in on him, 7/10 back. GK Bass still in that 2-second window. And do we have I believe... Oh, looked like somebody had a little bit of a spin. May have been Timgra. I think Timgra lost the position to Ramsey there. So Ramsey up to P13 now. Obviously some drivers have pitted. But considering he got sent to the back of the grid, not terrible for the German driver. As we go through the field, the closest battle still is Rusty Oil Can and Noob Plays. Rusty gonna have to defend here. It looks like Noob is going for the move in the tunnel section. Almost make contact. Rusty defends the position well. Noob has no room to make a move. And Nico John is now joining these two in a 3-car battle.
Yeah, I've been on them for the last lap, and obviously Noob is actually missing a bit of an end plate, but is still hammering on the pressure on the Ferrari driver. They're doing really well so far.
Maybe a little bit of a pace advantage for Noob, even with the broken end plate. He is all over the rear of that Ferrari. Is he going to go for a move here? He is close. He's burning battery. He's got DRS. Thought about it. Decided to go back in line. And even that, you can see with such a good run from Noob, just not enough track, not enough straight to make a move. So Rusty
doing well. Rusty doing well defensively as well, putting the car in the middle. Obviously, I am one of the masters of doing that, and I have to give credit to Rusty. It was inch perfect, not giving any space to Noob.
Absolutely. So Noob may not be able to get by just on raw pace. He may need to try and force Rusty to make a mistake. He is very close through the tunnel section, but I don't think a move will come. Nico John still in that battle, and now Kurorama is very close, just a second back, so 3-car battle turning into 4. Noob all over that Ferrari's bumper, just trying to make him make a mistake, and Rusty spins! Rusty spins into the pool section, and so does Nico John. We said it. Noob all over the back of Rusty, trying to force that mistake, and that mistake came. Rusty spinning into the pool section, loses the right end plate. He is going to go into the pits, and from perfection to disaster for the Ferrari driver, he is going to drop all the way to maybe P15. And Nico John also got the worst end of that. However, he did not get any damage with the spin, so he can stay P10. Kurama getting past that McLaren, so up to P9 for the other Kick Sauber driver. A great start for him, up 8 positions. And everybody else kind of staying flat. Joe and Mr. Bean still that 9/10 gap. FBI agent and Morris falling further back from the leaders. GK Bass gained around 5/10 from the last time we checked on the other Norwegian driver. So we will keep an eye on that battle. Everyone else looks like the closest battle on track right now is for the lead of the race. 7/10 separating the previous teammates. Obviously, of course, coming... Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, just on the edge of that dirty air limit, which is about 7/10.
Exactly.
So trying to get in to maybe make a move, but we can see everyone else is just staying that 1 second to 2 seconds behind, just clearing the dirty air, taking care of their tires. So it's a little bit more realistic in terms of the gaps.
Exactly, and Nico John entering the pit lane as we were speaking. It looks like he is going on to his first set of new tires. We can get off the position changes for quick and go to the tires. So as you can see, only 2 compounds on the track right now, mediums or hards. And it will be a 2-stop race, as we mentioned earlier. Joe Bidome, Mr. Bean is close. Oh, and Kurama crashes into the Sector 2 chicane. Is that going to be a safety car?
He's just cut that corner a little bit too tight. He is missing a left tire.
Yep,
so
and
he has
no
just
safety
simply
car.
turned into too early. A very simple mistake to make here.
So maybe still some safety car glitches going on with this track. Not sure, but that most likely would have been a safety car in any other manner. As we go through...
I honestly think it was just a standard... I think that would have been called with heavy or high or whatever it's called. But, you know...
Yep,
we're all standard.
The game works on mysterious ways. So going through the pit stops, the P12 to P16 have all made their pit stops, and I think Lord and Rab just made... Did he just make a move on track, or was that Martin getting by slightly and then Lord taking the position back? I believe that was. But those two were fighting up into Sector 1. Oh, and Tar Heels struggling a little bit, might be holding these two up. Obviously, he has not made his pit stop yet, so those mediums are starting to give way just a little bit. Oh, and Lord spins! Lord spins, entering the tunnel section. And that drops him from P12. Yep, got onto the power too hard, too early. Oh, and just completely misses the chicane as well. Yeah, he's going to get a 3-second time penalty for that one. From bad to worse for the Mercedes driver. Just shows the fine lines of this track, but he's just got to stick with it. Get those tires cooled down and keep going. The race is still on. There's still 20 laps to go, or 30 laps to go, actually. He's going to come in and probably get off those hards, if I had to imagine. Oh, and retires from the race.
Oh. During all of that, Ghost literally pushing Tar Heels up the hill. Is right on his gearbox. But it's just too tight. He can't get around him.
Yep, you need, as we saw with Noob and Rusty, the only way it seems to get by here, even in the game, is for not you to make an impressive move, but for your teammate, or for any driver, to just make a mistake and take advantage. On board with Tar Heels entering the chicane. Nice wing shot as we go up to the pool section. And I
Ghost
just
not
realized
defending from
Nico
Nico
John
John.
actually gets past Ghost Viper. We
Yeah,
didn't catch that.
into the chicane.
Very
Um,
impressive from the McLaren. And now
and
Tar
there we go.
Heels finally into the pit lane. That unleashes Nico John and Ghost Viper into clean air, but there is a big gap to Villeneuve up ahead, 11 seconds. And of course, the top 10 have not made any pit stops. Rusty picking up a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Pretty rare around Monaco. I'd say it's one of the easier tracks to keep penalties off your timesheet. And Mr. Bean into the pit lane, the first of the leaders to make a pit stop.
Morris follows
He
him.
jumps onto the hards. Yep, Morris follows him in. GK Bass will stay out. Morris
I'd
jumping onto the
also,
second pair of mediums, looking like maybe looking for more pace. Oh, and we have an Alpine. I believe that was Villeneuve making a mistake into the second chicane. It looked like he was stopped there. He's going to lose a lot of time. That 11-second gap. Yeah, he's got left wing damage.
Too early. I think
And
he
that
made the
11-second
same
gap.
mistake.
That 11-second gap to Nico John, now just 2.6 seconds. Villeneuve's going to come in, change those tires and the wing. But now, as we watch Mr. Bean, who is actually just behind Justin, so his undercut to Joe is not maybe going to work. He's looking to try and get around Justin. He's got the quicker tires. He's got the overspeed. He goes for the move. Makes it happen. Both of them survive on a fantastic move from the McLaren driver. One of the only actual overtakes we have seen on track. But Joe Bidome has now pitted. Is that holding up by Justin going to cost Mr. Bean the undercut opportunity on his previous teammate? We will see Joe now exiting the pits. Here comes Mr. Bean. I don't think it's going to be enough. It's going to be close. Joe just stays ahead. What could have been if Mr. Bean didn't get held up by Justin? They are now back to where they started. Oh, a little bit of a snap of oversteer from Mr. Bean there. Obviously, Joe will have cold tires compared to Mr. Bean, so if Mr. Bean wants to make a move here, it's going to have to happen now while his opponent's tires are cold. We saw him make a move through the tunnel here. Probably not going to make it happen this time around. And obviously, Joe's tires are starting to heat up more and more as we go through the lap. The opportunity slowly slips away. Entering the pool section, and Joe with a healthy 6/10 gap heading into the DRS straight. He will most likely be able to defend this position and have his tires warm. And GK Bass now entering the pit lane. A couple of laps after his opponents. He is going to swap onto the medium tire, so no compound changes for Morris nor Bass. FBI agent, we missed his pit stop, but he just gets by. Actually, he stays ahead of Morris. Morris did pit earlier, and FBI on the hard tire, but he manages to stay ahead of the Ferrari driver, but not by much. It is very close between them, but FBI will most likely be able to hold on to that position. Both of the Aston Martins of GK Bass and Justin in P5 and P6 holding strong. Ramsey, 12 laps on those medium tires, and if I had to guess, I think Ramsey is going to be going for a one-stop here. Ramsey has managed to make it work. Oh yeah, he can't exactly. So that's gonna cost him. Maybe Ramsey has held on to a pair of softs, so he'll be able to maybe go medium, soft, give him a little more pace at the end. And Noob plays all over the back of Martin, just behind Ramsey here. I saw them going almost too wide into the casino section. Joe Bidome sending the fastest lap of the race, a 1:12.8 on the hard tire. Can Noob force another driver to make a mistake? He seems to have a good ample skill level to make his drivers ahead of him make mistakes and pressure them into a mistake. Can he do it to Martin? And Ramsey now into the pit lane, making his first stop of the race. He's probably going to lose maybe 2-3 positions here. He is getting his wing changed, however, so that's going to drop him probably behind Timgra, but obviously fresh wing, more pace, and clean air. Where is Ramsey going to come out? He might come out ahead. No, he's not going to come out ahead of Timgra. So P13 for Ramsey, but fresh tires and a new wing. We will stay on board with him throughout the next stint of his race and see what the German can do.
So far, it does look like the overcut is actually better, at least at the front, because you have fresh air compared to when you box into traffic more often than not, and
Yep.
you risk getting held up.
That's exactly what happened to Mr. Bean. The undercut looked like it was going to work, but unfortunately for him and good for Joe, he got into a battle with Justin on track, and he wasn't able to get by. He got by, which is impressive enough, but he wasn't able to get by quick enough, and Joe was able to hold on to his lead. So we will see if Mr. Bean attempts another undercut, and maybe making the undercut work against his old teammate, but we shall see. Maybe Joe will end up being the undercut on the next stint. And I've actually noticed Joe and Mr. Bean are both underfueled currently. Both of them having that yellow gas tank light on. And if I had to guess, they were most likely very underfueled, thinking there would be at least one safety car. But if no safety car comes out, and both of them are racing hard here, they're not really going to have an opportunity to slow down and fuel save. So if nothing happens here, Joe and Mr. Bean could be in trouble, which may open the door for FBI agent Morris, Bass, Justin. Depends how underfueled they are, because of course this track isn't super quick in terms of where you pick up time through the lap. So being in the fuel saving mode, obviously they'll lose a lot of time, but because of how slow the circuit is in general, they won't lose as much time compared to a fast flowing circuit like maybe Monza or Jeddah. So we will keep an eye on that. As I can tell, looks like Villeneuve is underfueled, Timgra is underfueled.
Sorry, just I'm on board with Mr. Bean and Joe Biden, just in case anything happens. And Mr. Bean having a huge snap of oversteer, but managing to catch the car just before he hits a wall.
And Ramsey, race started off not great, picks up a 3-second time penalty, which will, of course, limit where he'll be able to pick up even more spots. We'll still stay on board as we know how fast he is, but it is not looking good so far for Ramsey. A big 10-second gap separating P2 all the way to P3. FBI has managed to escape Morris a little bit here. 4 seconds compared to a second around 3 laps ago. So the hard's definitely kicking in. Morris with a pretty healthy gap between himself and his Norwegian brethren of GK Bass. And GK Bass 7 seconds up the road from his teammate. Martin 8 seconds back of them. And Noob still relatively close to Martin, of course. Noob actually electing on his previous pit stop not to change his wing, which is definitely interesting because, of course, he does have a 22-second gap to Nico John. Now, of course, sometimes drivers just forget, and sometimes the pit doesn't change your... Oh, and Timgra is out! Crashes out right outside the pool section. Is that going to be a safety car? It doesn't look like it. Another car DNFing on track with no safety car.
That looks to have been in the pits.
Was it in the pits?
It does look like it because I was aboard with Tar Heels, and as he passed the pit lane, he went up a place.
Okay, interesting. Because on the map, at least for me, it looked like it was like right in that right corner of the right kink in the chicane, and it looked like Timgro was DNF'd there, but glad that he wasn't DNF'd on track. So that now leaves us with 14 drivers left on track. None of them a lap down, which is always nice to see. It's actually a relatively big gap between Tar Heels and the leaders. Still around 20-ish seconds, so hopefully every driver can finish on the lead lap. Oh, Ramsey going side by side with Rusty, backs out of it though into Sector 1. That could have been something. But Ramsey just being held off by Rusty for now. Can he maybe force another mistake out of the Ferrari driver? We saw Noob do it. Can Ramsey manage that? Speaking of Noob, he picks up a 3-second time penalty. That most likely won't affect his race too much. A very large gap to P9, and he is slowly falling off the back as Ramsey going for the move next to Rusty. Will this end in tragedy? Rusty with the inside line manages to keep the car. Ramsey obviously having to back out as he had no room on the outside through that chicane. But Ramsey will be able to pick up the pace up to Rusty very quickly. It's just very difficult to make a move there. If the driver on the inside defends it well and knows that he has the inside, there's not much you can do apart from cut the chicane like we've seen in the race and in real life from George Russell. So Rusty's managing to hold off a much quicker driver, and Ramsey is probably going to be frustrated, as we all would be, being held up. But Ramsey, if there's a driver that can make a move into a tight section of a track, Ramsey is one of them. So we'll see if Ramsey can force a mistake out of Rusty in the upcoming laps here, but it's not looking super great as of right now, but we shall hold our breath as they enter the tunnel section again. Is Ramsey going to go for the same move?
I think he is.
Ramsey's got a lot more overspeed, and he makes the move clean through the tunnel. A fantastic move from Ramsey. Just held on to that battery more than Rusty, had way more overspeed, and he makes the move. And now he's got Nico John ahead of him. We'll get rid of the garbage on track here as we watch the German driver try and get past his British counterpart. And Nico John goes into the pits, so a nice free pass for Ramsey as he heads towards the start straight and begins to build a gap between himself and Rusty behind. And I do believe
Nico John is done in the pits.
Yep. I believe that is Nico John's second pit stop. It is, so only him and Ghost Viper have completed their 2 stops as we have 18 laps to go. Tar Heels now picking up a 3-second time penalty, so everyone in the bottom 8, or bottom 8 down, apart from Nico John, have managed to pick up some sort of time penalty.
Yeah, I actually disagree with you. You said earlier that it's an easy track. I think it's deceptively hard because you have turn 1, you have the no, Nico John has spun.
Oh no!
But then you have the chicane, and then you have the second chicane, where all of those 3 very easy to just overstep a little bit and pick up a warning.
For sure. I think I was more in reference to the fact that usually when you're going to pick up a time limit penalty, you're going to be pushing to the absolute limit, going through high-speed corners. You just get off that line just a little bit and pick up that warning, whereas this track, it's completely different, where the corners are so tight that if you misjudge your braking point by 10 meters, it can cost you a track limit warning. Now, Oh, and another Ferrari goes around. Rusty, right before Sector 2 goes around, loses. I'm not sure if it's his entire front wing. Nope, just his right end plate, but disaster for Rusty. He was going at a pretty solid pace. I believe maybe he might have hit a kink. We know that part of the track has a couple of bumps that can throw your car around, and Rusty may be forced to make his final pit stop here. We shall see.
Yeah, and I wonder he hit the wall when reversing as well. He might have picked up some rear wing damage, but might just have hit it soft enough that it didn't do any damage.
Yeah. Now, thankfully, if you do get a little bit of rear wing damage, thankfully this track, it wouldn't affect you too much, mainly because the rear wing will affect you a lot through high speed and medium speed corners. So out of all the tracks to get some rear wing damage, Monaco is probably one of your better bets. But ideally, Rusty doesn't have any. And it looks like we might have a Norwegian tussle here. GK Bass has caught up to Morris.
Would be a shame if they both end up in the sea. Just saying.
Yeah, that would not be great. But of course, we know that both of these drivers have not gone onto the hard tire. I believe both of them started on the medium. So this isn't a tire compound difference that's going to make the difference at the end. They will both be on the hard tire, maybe the soft tire, if they manage to make those tires last. But I doubt it. I don't think the softs have really any life here. So we shall see,
No.
and I'm not sure if we picked it up, but Mr. Bean got by Joe, and he is 4 seconds up the road now. Oh, and that's why Joe Bidome has front right wing damage.
Oh.
Maybe making a mistake somewhere, but now he's coming in. He's going to get that wing changed, and he is going to get an undercut, quote unquote, on Mr. Bean, but that is going to cost him 7-8 seconds at the minimum.
Wonder if Mr. Bean is gonna stay out just a couple of laps to get that offset and keep the gap.
For sure,
then
because then Box will have the fresher tires, and just like that, now Joe Bidome behind FBI Agent, but I believe FBI Agent has made only one stop. Yes.
Yes.
So Joe is still net P3 or P2, but from what looked like almost maybe a guaranteed win with his pace has dropped him well behind his championship rival of Mr. Bean.
Yep. And during that, both Norwegians have boxed for the hearts, so we will still be able to watch the Norwegians throw themselves into the ocean. If anyone doesn't know, I am Swedish. That's why I'm hoping on the
And
downfall
Mr. Bean immediately into the pit lane to get an advantage on Joe making his error. So Mr. Bean opting for just trying to get the tires on as quickly as possible, limit any kind of undercut Joe might be able to get. And that's going to put Mr. Bean at least maybe even 10 seconds ahead. It's a pretty big gap. Yeah.
He just gets FBI agents.
Yep, Joe just getting FBI, but FBI is not far off Joe now. Now, of course, he's on the hard tires, so the first few laps are going to be rough. Justin picking up his first 3 second, and Martin. Oh, man. That might hurt Martin. He has got a couple of drivers directly behind him, but Martin has not made his second pit stop. But if FBI can hold on to these tires and stay within, I don't know, I'd say 3-4 seconds by the time they hit lap 33, he might be able to make those hards work and stay and maybe even make a move on Joe. We shall see. I mean, we've seen Joe has made an error already. There's no denying that maybe he might be able to make another. But of course, Joe is going to be pushing as hard as he can to try and get close to Mr. Bean here. 5.2 seconds is the gap. Oh, and Villeneuve is out. Villeneuve cutting the as we said, the chicane turned in too early, clips his tires, and that is another instant where a driver retires on track and no safety car. And he was in a 4-car battle there, so maybe more issues with safety cars going on for Monaco, because you could argue there should have been at least 2 of them now.
Yeah, it's tomfoolery by EA, but are we really expecting anything else from them at this point?
That would, I would have to agree with you there. Now, Joe Bidome is going at a very good pace here. He has gained around 0.6 to Mr. Bean since we last saw him. He was at 5.2 seconds. It has now dropped to 4.5. Now, of course, Mr. Bean will be nursing these tires a bit more, which will help him defend later, but if Joe is able to at least get close to Mr. Bean to challenge him, we may have a battle for the lead here.
That would be interesting.
Joe will have to push extremely hard. So we'll keep an eye on that gap. FBI agent already down to 3 seconds, just showing how fast Joe is currently going. Morris has managed to pull away from Bass 3 seconds up the road. Justin 10 seconds back of his teammate. Martin, who just made his final pit stop. So every single driver still in the race has made their 2 stops. So,
yes,
if nothing else happens, the only way drivers will be able to overtake is by actually making the overtakes.
Which means this is it. Goodbye, everyone.
Yes, now hopefully we get lucky and we maybe see a move like what Ramsey did, what Mr. Bean did. But obviously it's going to be difficult because a lot of these tires are evened out now. The biggest tire gap I see is maybe Ramsey to Ghost Viper, but Ghost Viper is 7 seconds back. Come to think of it, Ramsey 20. I just realized Ramsey's 21 seconds back of Noob. Mr. Bean setting the fastest lap of the race at 1:11.5, and that gap that we said was going up, looking like Joe might be able to bring the lead back to him, is now at 6 seconds. So within a lap and a half, Mr. Bean has managed to put 1.5 seconds between himself and his championship rival.
Yeah, I think Joe is currently overdriving the car, driving with anger, which at every other track is usually a good thing because you can usually just absolutely send it. But on this track, you have to drive with finesse, no matter what.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And obviously, everything is in Mr. Bean's hands here. He can drive the car at probably just a relatively easy pace. Even if Joe manages to somehow catch up, you'll have fresher tires. They'll be at much better wear. So unless something happens to our current race leader, it's looking like Mr. Bean will be able to pull this win off, which halfway through the race wasn't looking like it. It looked like Joe might have even been the faster driver. He was managing to hold off Mr. Bean very well. The strategy calls were working out in Joe's favor, but of course, just that one mistake, that one little tap of a wall goes from a race win to, well, now we can see the gap. FBI agent 2.3 seconds back of Joe. It was 3 seconds when Joe was pushing, so has Joe maybe cooked his tires a little too much here? If FBI agent is making up time this early in the stint with 11 laps to go technically, can Joe maybe even hold on to P2? Will FBI agent have the pace and the tire wear at the end to make a move? We shall see. At the moment, they are not under threat from any driver else. Morris is 17 seconds back of that pair. GK Bass another 7 seconds. So Morris making those tires work. Bass is just losing. He's been losing seconds and seconds per lap here. It doesn't even look like Bass is using any battery either. At 100%.
I will say, just following along with FBI agent who's still catching Joe, the hard tires, both at Brazil and in Imola in midweek, the hard tire did look better So I do think the hard tires, just like last game, is a good tire, but obviously they don't last as long as they did in last game.
No,
But I
they do
do think the
not.
hard tire is still a very strong tire to be on, because I
Exactly.
think there is overheating issues with the mediums and softs at most tracks.
Yep. And FBI agent has shrunk that lead even more. 1.8 seconds the gap now, dropping to around 1.7. So we may be seeing a battle forming. I would say striking distance is within the next 2-3 laps. Uh, as we go through the rest of the field, very large gaps between all of them. Noob 12 seconds back of Martin, Ramsey 15, Ghost Viper 21, Nico John 12, Rusty 12, and Tar Heels 44 seconds back, who may be under threat from being lapped, but I don't believe. Actually, Tar Heels might already be lapped. Because I'm just looking at the gaps now, that's a lot more than a minute and like 15-ish seconds. So I believe Tar Heels might be the only driver a lap down.
Be able to see that if we do.
If I go gap to leader, yeah. I'd say, actually, those times don't really make sense because it's saying that Rusty is further back than Tar Heels, which he isn't. I don't know. EA.
EA
But
Sports, please make better games.
as we go back to the battle for P2, FBI agent is now within DRS range. This battle is shaping up to be, I'd say, earlier than I expected. I guess maybe lap 33, FBI would start making some decent ground, but the last 2 laps, he's already gained around 2 seconds. So will FBI agent be able to make a move on Joe? Joe might be driving a little nervously now. Going from confidence in P1 to the race looking like yours to your championship rival kind of sailing off into the distance a little bit, and now you have a very quick driver who's behind you who's getting closer and closer, which these two probably haven't felt very much throughout this season. Of course, Ramsey gave them a good shout in Brazil, but these two are arguably undisputed as the top 2 quickest drivers in PRL currently, and while they do race each other a lot, they're usually pretty lenient with each other. But when another driver joins the fray, like this, you can argue that they may be not as prepared as they could be. So we will see how Joe handles an extremely quick driver who is going to have better tires for the next 8 laps of this race. And both of them are actually slowly catching Mr. Bean here, a 5-second gap to Mr. Bean now. It was 6 seconds a couple of laps ago. But going through the rest of the field, there isn't really any other battle to look at. Closest would maybe be Martin to Justin, but I believe both of them have 3-second time penalties, so we could keep an eye on that. But as of right now, the only battle to look at is between FBI and Joe. Now, the mediums obviously still have a good amount of life into them. They're going to be able to pull out of corners most likely quicker than the hards still, but that will not be the case in the next few laps. So we will see if FBI will be able to put his car in the perfect position to make a pass on Joe. But as of right now, nothing is occurring yet.
Yeah, and it has to be said, of course, FBI agent caught him very quickly, but it's a whole nother beast to try and overtake around there. So even though he caught him very quickly, he still has to set up the move and get it inch perfect.
Exactly. Now we do have Ghost Viper going onto the soft tires, and FBI agent picks up a 3-second time penalty. From maybe potentially making the move to 3 seconds added to your time, the only way this stays a battle is if Joe manages to pick up a time penalty as well. But as of right now, FBI agent, even if he gets past the Alpine, is doubtful that he would be able to pull a 3-second gap.
Yeah, now he really needs to push him.
Yeah, he really needs to push Joe to make an error. Now, of course, Joe might just say, hey, if you're going to make a move into a dangerous section of the track, I might just back out and stick behind you. I got 3 seconds to use. So, whatever FBI decides to do, Joe's a very smart driver. He will know, I'm just going to back out and I'm just going to stick right behind you. I'm not going to let you get away. Which
Yeah, at
obviously
this.
very much limits FBI's abilities to try and get P2 here.
Yeah, at this point, still, we know how fast FBI agent caught him. It can also pull away really quick. So I think at this point, Joe should still defend very hard,
Of
as normal.
course.
But in just a couple of laps, maybe lap 36, 37, he can probably, if he's in danger, he can just back out and try and stick within 3 seconds. He does have that margin on his side now.
Exactly. Now, of course, Joe also has to worry about getting a time penalty. We don't know what Joe might be at. Actually, can we check in the race director? We can.
Yep, he's on 0 warnings.
Yep, so, yep. Let me take a look. Yeah, Joe is on 0 warnings, so Joe just has to keep his car on track. No more tapping of the walls, and P2 is as much secured as it could be unless something catastrophic happens here, which it's Monaco, so anything can happen. So we will have to wait and see. But as of right now, the top three is looking to stay at these three. Of course, Mr. Bean still 5 seconds up the road, taking it nice and easy, full battery, not pushing the car anywhere near as much as he needs to. And yeah, he's leaving all the stressful driving to the driver in P2 behind him. Now, is Ghost Viper going for fastest lap? It looks like it. He's 7/10 up on his quickest lap so far, so maybe Ghost Viper will be able to steal fastest lap. We might stay on board with him just to see if he can manage that. Of course, he does have a Ferrari ahead of him in Rusty, and Rusty is not a lap down, so he won't be ghosted. So Ghost Viper might get held up a little bit here fastest lap-wise. Stay on board with him quickly just to see. Just want to see what his time interval is as he enters sector 3. He's 5/10 down now, so no fastest lap for Ghost Viper as we head back to Joe Bidome and FBI agent. Oh, and actually a move.
The Haas
Ramsey
swapping places.
swapping places. A good move from the Haas team. Obviously, Ramsey, quicker driver on better tires right now, but a 20-second gap ahead of them. So this will be most likely where they finish. But of course, Noob playing the team game here. Ramsey is, of course, much higher up in the standings, drivers-wise. So this just helps negate Ramsey's point loss a little bit. And honestly, hats off to Ramsey. It's been a pretty solid recovery drive from the Haas driver. Dropped all the way down to P16 on lap 1. Had wing damage. Held on to that wing damage until his first pit stop. And has managed to get ahead of his teammate. And is 20-ish seconds back of P7. So a P8 result for the Haas driver I'm sure he'll be happy with. In hindsight, of course, what could have been maybe a potential podium. Maybe more, who knows. Oh, and we have a slow car. Martin maybe making an error. No damage on his car, but he might have had a little bit of a moment, and he's going extremely slowly.
I wonder if he tapped the wall but didn't get any damage from it.
Yeah,
It's
looks
quite easy
like
to
it.
catch the rear tire as well if you turn in too early.
Yep, I would say so. So now, 20-second gap to Ramsey, only 12, and when you make a mistake, you're almost prone to make another. You're driving nervous. You kind of overthink it sometimes. So we'll keep an eye on that, but of course, Joe still holding off FBI agent for P2. As we know, Joe has no track limit warnings, so... And FBI is just not able to get close enough to even sniff at making a move. And GK Bass, 13 seconds back of his fellow Norwegian. No track limit penalties for GK Bass so far, so very solid from him. Of course, the two top runners do not have them as well. And, of course, steady Nico John, who I feel literally never gets penalties, is the other driver with no penalties. Of course, I don't think penalties will affect much. He's 58 seconds behind Noob, but 7 seconds ahead of Rusty, who also has his own time penalty. So, unless a spin or a crash happens, the only potential position change we will have is Joe and FBI, and FBI has dropped a little bit, now at around a second back. Of course, he's going to be in the dirty air of Joe at that pace, so he's going to want to try and get closer.
I am also expecting you to do Alex Jake's Mr. Bean speech about taking a win in Monaco.
I'll do my own speech. Thank you very much. But yeah, final lap of the race. FBI probably just going to take it nice and smooth to the end here. I don't think forcing a move here will do anyone any favors. He doesn't have the pace to really get by Joe. Joe has managed to defend it well. He has held off with no track limits. Although, we do have to remember the fuel situation. Now, Joe and Mr. Bean are blinking. Everybody else is not. So I am curious how that's going to work.
He's lifting and coasting
Yep.
quite a bit.
Yeah, it looks like Mr. Bean's definitely lifting and coasting, but it looks like they're just going to make it to the line. Doesn't look like they will run out of fuel anywhere close enough for something else to change. Mr. Bean is your Monaco 2025 PRL Season 14 winner. Manages to beat out Joe after Joe makes a small but major mistake, tapping the wall and losing one of his end plates. FBI comes home to a solid P3 finish. Morris crosses the line to make it P4. Then we go a little bit further back to the two Aston Martins of GK Bass and Justin, who will make another solid finish for the Aston Martin team. Make that P5 for the other Norwegian, and the Dutch driver of Justin will cross the line in P6. I wouldn't say that, Joe. You put on a fantastic race, and one small mistake costed you. It's going to be a tight championship, my man. You'll just have to lock in and take it to Mr. Bean. You had the pace today. And Ramsey, Martin, and everybody else crosses the line, and that will be, without any incident reports that I may know of, to be the final race results. So the podium, congratulations to Mr. Bean, Joe Bidome, and FBI agent, all in different cars, so you love to see it. Makes the constructors spread very nice.
FBI in the Discord does nothing P3.
Love me a good George Russell meme. So as we take a look at the, I guess the awards, the in-game awards, race winner, of course, goes to Mr. Bean. He takes fastest lap as well. Driver of the day goes to Tar Heels. I'm kind of questioning that one, but we'll see. I would have probably given that to Mr. Bean. Most overtakes, Martin in the Williams. I don't remember where Martin qualified, but
P10.
P10. So he jumps up to P7, I believe. And cleanest driver, Joe Bidome.
Okay.
And as we look through the field really quick, Mr. Bean, Joe Bidome, FBI agent, Morris, Bass, Justin, Martin, Ramsey, Noob, and Nico John rounds out your top 10, followed by Rusty, Ghost Viper, Tar Heels, Villeneuve, Timgra, Lords and Rab, and Kurama. Of course, Villeneuve, Timgra, Lord, and Kurama not finishing the race. Not, of course, the most exciting. Uh, Not the most exciting Monaco race, but I think it could have been worse.
It definitely could have been worse, but I would very much rather any other track
Yeah,
as a commentator.
I would agree with that. I think even every other tight city track like Baku, of course, Baku and Singapore just gives better racing. But I mean, I guess it's always fun to come here now and then. So once again, congratulations to Mr. Bean, Joe Biden, and FBI. A tight championship battle forming here between Mr. Bean and Joe. Of course, they're the top of the field right now, and it looks like they're going to take it to the end of the championship. If these paces are anything to go off, if maybe someone else in the grid gains a pace advantage and maybe takes it to them, but as of right now, it looks like a little bit of a two-horse race currently.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to follow along. And of course, we shouldn't look too much into it because we've had one race and one a very skill gap track. So it will be interesting to see in the following couple of races how it starts to shape out.
100%. So that has been Performance Racing League Season 14, our first season on F125. Yeah, I believe. Where are we going next, Jesper? Where are we
We
going
are
this
in
week?
midweek. Midweek is going to Brazil,
Lovely.
and then next week we are going to Hungary in Sunday.
All right. So as Jesper said, you can always catch midweek. The streams are rare, but the midweek racers race at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. As he said, they will be racing at Brazil, and you can check us out next week on Sunday as the Tier 1 drivers head to the Hungaro Ring, a more overtakey track than Monaco, but you can argue not by much. It's a pretty tight track. Monaco without walls, as people sometimes would say. So we'll
Yeah.
see how that race goes. I assume it's going to be a bit more exciting than the race we had today. But I have been your host, Gord Sauce, and my co host, Jesper. And we shall see you all next week. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.